This was not in the mission brief. The cold press of a gun barrel against the back of my neck, the smell of cheap cigarettes and fear. My hands were bound, my cover was blown, and the man I was sent to destroy was the only person who could save me. My name is Jang Airy, and for the past 6 months I haven't been a police lieutenant. I've been Lee Sooji, financial analyst, and the lover of Kim Minjun, the most dangerous mafia boss in Seoul. They told me to get close to him. They never told me I'd have to choose between my duty and my life, or that the choice would be this hard. The order came from Captain Park himself. Project Sajo, an undercover operation so deep, only 3 people in the entire Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency knew about it. Our target, Kim Minjun, the Viper. He wasn't some thug in a back alley, he was a king. His empire, the Geumgang-pa, was a cancer woven into the city's financial and political fabric. He was untouchable. My mission was to become Lee Sooji, a woman with a fabricated past, a mountain of debt, and a sharp mind desperate for a job at Minjun's crown jewel, Echo Global. It took 4 months of painstaking work to get an interview, 5 to get hired, and 6 to get the summons that sent a jolt of ice and fire through my veins. I was to deliver a financial report directly to the chairman, to the Viper's den. The elevator to the Gangnam penthouse was a glass coffin soaring over the city. I adjusted the hidden wire under my blouse, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I am Jang Airy. I am a police officer. I repeated it like a mantra. The doors opened into silence. The penthouse was a study in terrifying elegance, all sharp angles, polished concrete, and floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased Seoul as his personal kingdom. He stood with his back to me, a silhouette of immense power against the sprawling city lights. Lee Sooji SSI. His voice was calm, a low, resonant baritone that didn't need to raise itself to command the room. He turned, and every preconception I had shattered. The file photos were a lie. This man wasn't just powerful, he was beautiful in a way that felt like a threat. Sharp, intelligent eyes that seemed to see through walls, a strong jawline, and a stillness that was more intimidating than any show of force. He was in his late 30s, and he carried the weight of his empire with an unnerving grace. I presented my report, my voice miraculously steady. I had crafted it to be brilliant but flawed, to show initiative but also a vulnerability he could exploit. I pointed out potential embezzlement by one of his trusted directors. He listened, his gaze never leaving my face. When I finished, he picked up an antique jangdo, a Korean dagger from his desk, turning it over in his hands. "Your analysis is audacious," he said, his words measured. "To walk into the lion's den and tell him one of his cubs is sick, that takes either incredible courage," he paused, his eyes locking with mine, "or incredible foolishness. Which are you, Lee Sooji SSI? "The numbers don't lie, Chairman Kim," I replied, holding his stare. "Don't they?" He gave a faint, humorless smile. "People lie, their intentions lie, the only truth is loyalty, remember that." He placed the dagger down. The silent threat hung in the air, more potent than any shout. I was dismissed. I walked out, my skin crawling. The wire had captured nothing illegal, but I had captured his attention. A week later, my transfer to his personal executive team was confirmed. The real mission had begun. I was inside. But as I would soon learn, when you play with a viper, you're always in striking distance. Being on Minjun's personal team was like being granted access to the inner sanctum of a dragon. The air was thinner, the stakes higher, and every glance felt like being measured for a coffin or a crown. He was testing me. A misplaced financial document here, a cryptic question about police procedure there. He was a composer, and I was his instrument, never sure if I was playing a duet or a requiem. The tension was a live wire between us, sparking during late nights in the penthouse. We'd be reviewing security protocols, our fingers brushing over the tablet, and the air would grow thick enough to choke on. He'd stand too close, his cologne, something dark and woody, wrapping around me, making it hard to remember I had a badge tucked away in a safety deposit box. "Your instincts are good, Sooji SSI," he said one evening, his voice a low murmur as he leaned over my shoulder to point at a line item. "Almost," Institutional, as if you've been trained to look for cracks in the system. My blood ran cold. I forced a laugh. Or maybe I've just had to be careful my whole life, Chairman Nim. His eyes met mine, holding a challenge and something else, a dark amusement. Perhaps, was all he said, and the moment stretched, charged, and dangerous. The turning point was a gala event for his charity foundation. I was playing my part, draped in a gown he'd bought for me, feeling like a jewel in his crown. That's when the Geumgang-pa, a rival syndicate, made their move. A knife in the crowd meant for Minjun. My police training kicked in before my cover could. I saw the glint of steel, the shift in posture. I didn't think. I moved. I shoved Minjun aside, taking the brunt of the attack. The blade sliced my arm, not deep, but enough. Chaos erupted. His men swarmed, but it was Minjun who caught me, his face a mask of cold fury and something raw, something real. In the safe house later, his personal doctor tended to my wound. Minjun dismissed everyone. The room was silent, the only sound our breathing. He knelt before me, his hands, usually so steady, trembling as he brushed a strand of hair from my face. "Why?" he asked, his voice rough. "You could have let it happen. It would have been convenient for your investigation, wouldn't it, Officer Jang?" The world stopped. The confession hung in the air, stark and terrifying, he knew. He had always known. Tears I couldn't stop welled in my eyes. The weight of the deception, the fear, and the undeniable love I felt for this man broke me. "Maybe because I like you, or I am attracted to you," I choked out, the truth finally, devastatingly, set free. "And I'm so sorry." Instead of anger, a slow, terrifying smile spread across his face. It wasn't a smile of victory, but of recognition. "I know." He cupped my face, his thumb wiping away a tear. "Do you think I'm a fool? I had you vetted the moment you walked into my office. You're Captain Park. He's not as clean as you think." He stood, packing like the predator he was. "The Geumgang-pa are being funded by a faction within your own agency. They want me gone because I refuse to pay their exorbitant bribes. Your captain, he reports to them. Your mission was never to bring me down. It was to gather enough intel so they could either control me or replace me with a more compliant puppet." My mind reeled. Was it true? The rushed operation, Park's desperation. It all clicked into a horrifying new picture. "I'm not your enemy, Aerie," Minjun said, using my real name for the first time. It sounded like a prayer on his lips. "But I am a king, and kings cannot be brought to their knees. They can only choose to share their throne." He proposed a deal, an alliance. I would remain his mole within the police, feeding Captain Park and his corrupt superiors carefully crafted disinformation. Together, we would dismantle the Geumgang-pa and the rotten core of the police unit targeting him. It was a win-win. He consolidates his power, and I get to purge the corruption I'd sworn to fight. It was treason. It was insanity. It was the only way to save us both. I looked at him, at the man who saw through every one of my lies and loved me anyway. The man who offered me not a cage, but a throne by his side. "I'm in," I whispered. He kissed me then, and it was a seal on our pact. It was no longer a cop and a criminal. It was partners. It was king and queen. The game was the same, but the players had just realigned in a way that would shake Seoul to its core. Becoming Minjun's partner, in truth, was like learning to dance on a knife's edge. We were a symphony of calculated lies and dangerous truths. I fed Captain Park a perfect blend of real and fabricated intelligence, leading his corrupt task force on a wild goose chase that systematically weakened the Geumgang-pa. With each successful police raid on Geumgang-pa operations, raids based on my intel, Minjun's Geumgang-pa absorbed their territory. We were a perfectly engineered machine, cleaning the streets of our mutual enemies. The intimacy between us deepened, now stripped of its primary deception. It was fiercer, more possessive. He wasn't just my lover, he was my co-conspirator. We'd lie in bed, the lights of Seoul stretching out before us, and plan our next move against the world. It was the most alive and the most damned I had ever felt. The endgame was a masterstroke. I delivered the crown jewel to Captain Park, the location of the Geumgang-pa's leadership meeting, with the added bonus that Minjun would be there, forced into a truce. It was a trap, and Park, greedy for the glory of capturing both syndicate heads, took the bait. The night of the raid, Minjun and I stood in his penthouse, watching the distant flashing blue lights of the police convoy head to the waterfront warehouse. It was a ballet of destruction we had choreographed. "It's done," I said, my voice hollow. "We had won." Minjun came up behind me, his arms encircling my waist. "No," he murmured into my hair. "It's just beginning." He turned me to face him. His expression was grim. "The corrupt are in cages, but there is one loose end. The only other person who knows the full truth of your identity and your change of allegiance." "Captain Park." My phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with Captain Park's name. He had survived the raid. Of course he had. We'd ensured he would be in a position of safety to take the credit. Minjun's eyes met mine, dark and unreadable. "He knows it was you. He knows you played him." He picked up my phone, his thumb hovering over the answer button. "He will never stop coming for you, for us." The implications crashed down on me. Park had resources, allies I didn't know about. He could expose me, destroy my life, and bring the full, legitimate force of the police down on Minjun. "He's a loose end, Aerie," Minjun said, his voice dangerously soft. "And I do not tolerate loose ends." He held the phone out to me, the buzzing and insistent, terrifying hum in the silent penthouse. "The question is, my love," he whispered, his gaze holding me captive. "Do you,